Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather on this 17th day of May, 2018. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first on the hazardous weather graphic, we've got wind advisories that'll be coming out tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon on May 18th. That'll be for the, as you can see here, Tanana up to the Koyukuk Valley areas into Fairbanks, and also includes here the upper Yukon Valley around Fort Yukon. Wind advisories for those areas that'll start tomorrow afternoon, continue into Saturday. Winds expected to pick up 15 to 25 miles per hour with possible gusts to 40 miles per hour or more, especially over the higher elevations throughout these zones. And from that, moving on to the breakup map, the one for today, of course, the Kuskokwim all the way open now, mostly open all the way down, and ice moving all the way out to Holy Cross, but not out to Omonik yet. So still have this lower stretch of the Yukon to break up, but nothing serious expected at all, unlike what we saw along the Kuskokwim River with the ice jams. I don't see that forming at all here along the Yukon, and so that'll probably be open here over the next several days, and then opening up here in the Koyukuk Valley there along the Koyukuk River, getting some open, or mostly open actually, through here on down to the Yukon, and then the northern rivers still pretty well iced up. And moving on to the fire danger, still high fire danger forecast here. North slopes of the eastern Alaska Range into the mid to upper Tanana Valley 40-mile country, and with those winds coming up for tomorrow and tomorrow night into Saturday, that'll probably expand a little bit and increase the fire danger with the increase in the wind there. There's a band of showers across the area for tonight into tomorrow, but the amounts, it's kind of narrow and the amounts won't be all that much. So with the winds coming up, expect for expanding areas of fire danger in the areas mostly over the mid-Tanana Valley into the 40-mile country and the upper Tanana. Otherwise, satellite imagery for today shows a clear swath here from just south of Arctic Village back in toward the Seward Peninsula, and some clearing that looked like over the Kuskokwim Delta into the central interior, then Fairbanks in the clouds, and that area extending northeast. A few isolated showers through here may increase a little bit here over the next 12 to 18 hours, and showers back in with clouds here across the Kuskokwim Valley, mainly central southern areas, and then a lot of moisture streaming northward here to the Kodiak Island area on up to the North Gulf Coast, and then some sunshine breaking out with some pretty warm temperatures occurring down over the southern southeast coast today. Temperatures rising to 70, some cases into the 80s. Otherwise, all this south to north flow here coming up and over the big ridge of high pressure is built in over the western Canada area, bringing the warm weather to the panhandle. Then we've got an upper level disturbance here with rain that's just edging in toward the Pribilof Islands during the afternoon hours. Rain extending back to the southwest coast with that feature. Otherwise, out to the west, high pressure dominating much of the Bering Sea once again. A lot of low clouds out there, probably some areas of fog as well. St. Lawrence Island, areas of fog into the Bering Strait. And also up here over the Chukchi Sea, along the along the Arctic coast, there were some flurries going on this morning with a little more extensive areas of fog, but that tended to dissipate during the afternoon hours with just some lingering scattered rain and snow showers here in the colder air. Back up over the Brooks Range, and we have some isolated showers here here over the eastern interior, maybe the White Mountains, southern upper Yukon possible. Pretty scattered and isolated. Become a little more widespread here toward the Alaska Range and southward into the Susitna Valley. Rain occurring here along the North Gulf Coast of Kodiak Island, Alaska Peninsula. Southeast flow bringing that moisture up. A fair amount of rain falling with Kodiak State Airport picking up half an inch of rain, while the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula here had roughly 2/3 of an inch, or about 6/10 of an inch of rain. And then even heavier 24-hour amounts have occurred along the Alaska Peninsula, with Chignik 24-hour rainfall amount of 3/4 of an inch. And then the heaviest occurred at King Cove, where they had 1.17 inches, again, the last 24 hours. And then here's this area of rain with this trough at the surface, and also a loft here that's slipping on over toward the Pribilof Islands, and that will probably move on in there here over the next few hours and into the overnight period tonight. Otherwise, we have high pressure at the surface right off the southeast coast, keeping some low clouds or cloudiness in along the coastline there, but sunshine farther east you go, and temperatures pretty mild, as I mentioned, down over the southern panhandle. Place Shelter Cove, 81 degrees at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and Stewart, 73 degrees. So very mild temperatures down that way, and not too bad even farther to the north. But rainfall here cutting off roughly around the Cordova area, and then areas of rain or showers scattered across the Susitna Valley. A little more prevalent along the upslope areas of the eastern Alaska Range. Back down, showers, Alaska Peninsula, heavier rain having ended there now. More of a showery condition throughout that area, and even lighter showers toward Unalaska. Dry out over the Aleutians with fairly light winds. For tonight, looks like rain will continue here for Kodiak Island. Up along the North Gulf Coast as several surges of moisture continue to move in on that southwest flow. Now got one shifting westward or west-northwest across southwest Alaska, another one here along the coast. Moisture again, rain and fog, Pribilof Islands dropping in toward the eastern Aleutians. And then it looks like a general area of rain or showers at times here for the Alaska Peninsula tonight. Cloudy skies. Break for the central Aleutians. Light winds, variably probably mostly cloudy, patchy fog, Adak and Atka. And out here to the west, another storm system. The rainfall won't reach the western Aleutians, but gradual increase in the winds, maybe to 10 to 20 miles per hour, 10 to 20 knots, maybe some higher gusts toward morning out there, and that's about it at this point in time. While the southeast coast, very weak surface low here, brings a chance of probably more of a light rain, drizzle, fog condition, roughly from western Dixon entrance, probably staying south of Prince of Wales Island on down. Could be some variable clouds here over the panhandle, especially along the coast, along with some patchy fog. And then again, showers mostly along the Alaska Range. Some of that moisture could fall north of the mountains there up towards Eagle, but again, not too much to really eliminate any fire danger. Low clouds, fog, and flurries again over the north slope, eastern north slope, and mostly over the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, maybe the central coast. Otherwise, not too bad up over the north and northwest interior. For tomorrow, again, showers possible along a narrow band here from the Alaska Range up across actually up toward Eagle once again. But drier, sunnier, and probably pretty mild here over the southeast Copper River Basin. Should be a mostly sunny day across all of the southeast coast, maybe a few clouds or fog, especially early on over the southern panhandle. And still a pretty good chance of rain. We've got a loft, southerly flow, a loft pulling a lot of moisture up, so we'll continue to see surges of moisture reaching the western North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula. Not too much expected in Prince William Sound other than clouds. Rain and fog continues Kodiak Island, southern coast of the Alaska Peninsula, and then a little more showery out here toward the eastern Aleutian areas. Those become isolated over the Pribilofs, and then an area of moisture up here from the western Seward Peninsula. Could be some rain, maybe rain and snow mixed early on, or just drizzle, fog, low clouds, maybe some IFR, marginal VFR here from the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island. And this front moisture just barely reaching, if it reaches it at all, just the outer edge catching the western Aleutians, and a little bit of increase in the winds there, but could be partly sunny for Adak tomorrow with light winds. And for the outlook, first day of the weekend here for Saturday, mostly sunny once again here for the southeast coast with light winds and mild temperatures. And that'll extend right up across the eastern interior and catch most of the Copper River Basin northward there to the Brooks Range and the eastern North Slope areas. A trough right through here will bring a pretty good chance of showers of the rain and snow variety over the Brooks Range, southwestward here into the Yukon Delta. Drier along the coast, cool northerly winds there through the Bering Strait, but only maybe gusts 25, maybe a few higher gusts there at Cape Lisburne, Point Hope, but generally showery out over the Bering Sea. Again, as I mentioned, wet from the North Gulf Coast into Kodiak Island, but probably lighter amounts of rain than what you've seen. And then for the lows tonight, upper teens to lower 20s along the Arctic coast, upper 20s in the Brooks Range, and then 30s over the northern interior. Tanana Valley, 30s to lower 40s. That'll extend out to the southwest coast, mid-30s for the Pribilofs, 30s for the Aleutians, and upper 30s north to upper 40s south for the Panhandle, and lower to mid-40s south central Alaska. Highs tomorrow, 50s to lower 60s for the Sitna Valley, and then even along the coast could rise up to near 60 here for the North Gulf Coast areas. And mild again over the Panhandle, upper 60s to maybe mid-70s once again, and a little cooler out along the coast where there's a little bit more of a marine influence. Upper 20s for the Arctic coast to lower 50s here over the southwest interior, as well as Bristol Bay, and 40s for the Aleutians. Lows the following morning, Saturday morning, upper teens in near 20 for the Arctic coast, mid-40s there, central Tanana Valley, mid-upper 40s for the Panhandle, and lower 40s here along the southwest interior, but upper 30s from Nome, lower 30s St. Lawrence Island, excuse me, on down to the St. Paul area, and then lows in the upper 30s for the Aleutians. And high Saturday afternoon, 65 to 70, Tanana Valley over toward Eagle, and then mostly in the 60s for the southeast coast.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First flying weather graphic here. Lots of IFR tomorrow morning for the North Slope. Well, Brooks Range on out to the most of the Arctic coast, south of the mountains though, into the central interior, good VFR. Then south of the Alaska Range, areas of IFR here from the central back along the eastern slopes of the western range. Also here roughly about the Nulato Hills on into the Nunivak Island area, Yukon Delta coast, Pribilofs on down to Mount Nikolsky, and then south side of the Alaska Peninsula up to Sitkinak Island. VFR breaking out over the central and western Aleutians, and VFR here, southeast coast, right up across the Wrangell Mountains into the eastern interior. And that holds through tomorrow afternoon. Good VFR for the Panhandle, North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, north, much of the interior. Still IFR, central, eastern, north slope, and Arctic coast. VFR back out into the Chukchi Sea there, including Kotzebue-Kivalina, maybe Point Hope. IFR, though, Bering Strait, Teller, down to St. Lawrence Island, and southward, they're just west of Nunivak Island now, but still socked in the Pribilofs, marginal VFR for the Aleutians, and IFR here up the east side of Kodiak and Fognak Islands. And then for Saturday morning, VFR southern Kodiak Island, roughly looks like from about Chiniak-Marmot Bay on down across the Alaska Peninsula, and then out here still catching the Pribilof Islands with some IFR, mostly marginal for the Aleutians, and a patch IFR there, western Prince William Sound, back into the IFR, North Slope, and on out to about the Arctic coast, and a patch here over the Koyukuk and Kobuk Valley areas, but the eastern interior, good VFR as well as the Panhandle. And for the Saturday afternoon forecast, marginal VFR up to the North Gulf Coast to about Yakutat, westward IFR, western Prince William Sound, east side of the Kenai Peninsula, marginal VFR up the western Alaska Range here, southern Kodiak Island, IFR, and a portion of the Alaska Peninsula to about, Chignik or so, maybe a little farther down the coastline. Otherwise, marginal VFR here, Kuskokwim Bay, right on up to the northeast there to the Brooks Range with VFR for the Arctic coast. IFR, right around the Pribilofs again, but north of the Aleutians. Anatuvik and Atigan will be both VFR tomorrow. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, IFR gradually improving to marginal, VFR, or will improve to marginal for the afternoon. Rainy, marginal VFR times throughout the entire day. Same forecast for windy. Isabel, IFR becoming marginal, and for Mentasta, marginal becoming VFR. And Tanita, same forecast, marginal VFR, lowest conditions in the morning becoming VFR. And then for Chilkoot and White, good VFR. Freezing levels, 4,000 feet roughly here across much of the southern interior, and then warming up 6,000, 8,000 feet across along the southeast coast. And 2,000 feet here from the Arctic all the way down and south of the Aleutians, but then warming up over the far western Bering and Aleutians of the Komondorskis. Icing a swath here northward in that southerly flow aloft. Occasional moderate rime there for the east side of Kodiak, Fognak Islands. Isolated moderate here up through south central Alaska, really thinning out when you get north of the Alaska Range. Another zone here of possible icing, St. Lawrence Island and from the Pribilofs eastern Aleutians. And this not quite reaching the western Aleutians in the afternoon. Jet stream well to the south here, a couple of upper lows south of the Alaska Peninsula, south of the Aleutians. And then it turns northward here, 90 knots, right up to the North Gulf Coast, up and over this ridging over western Canada at about 90 knots. I'll be pulling that moisture northward. And at 9,000 feet, more of a southeast flow here, 25 to 30 on the Panhandle, 25, and then 15 to 25 across southwest Alaska. Pretty light under that ridge up to the northeast. And out over the Bering Sea, basically easterly flow up to 45 knots with that next low there, out over the, or incoming southwest of Shimia there. Same thing at 3,025 to 40 knots, but under some ridging, Adak and Atka only at about 10 knots. Not much wind to this system over the Fox Islands. Easterlies maybe 20 or so, but 25 here coming across Kodiak Island, the Aleutian Range, up to 35 in the Gulf of Alaska, but much lighter Copper River Basin, south central. 20 to 25 from east to west there, up to 30 knots across St. Lawrence Island, and pretty light and variable under high pressure up over the Arctic coast, and also the southeast interior and the Panhandle southeasterlies at about 25. Moderate chop, Kodiak Island, the Alaska Peninsula, and St. Lawrence Island tomorrow.
Hercules' Pet Cemetery.
Greetings, stargazers. I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida.
And I'm Dehne Regas, astronomer for the Cincinnati Observatory. We're here to help you find your way around the sky. Every May, the mighty Hercules constellation flexes his muscles in the eastern sky.
He's strong, brave, tough. But how do I put this delicately?
He's not very bright.
Exactly. And his dim stars make him hard to find.
But Hercules is connected to so many fun, gross, and downright weird ancient Greek myths that we love finding his stars in the spring sky.
Plus, Hercules is connected to 3 other springtime constellations that he,
killed.
Yes. Hercules was said to have caused the deaths of Leo the lion, Cancer the crab, and Hydra, a many-headed snake.
So, let's show you Hercules and his pet cemetery in the sky. Okay, we have our sky set up for any night this week facing east at 10:30 p.m. We're looking for a faint muscle-bound hero.
I'm right over here, Dean.
That is true, you've definitely got the muscles, but you're way too bright.
Oh, indeed. And Hercules is tough to find, even for me. I first look for the bright blue star Vega. That lets me know I'm in the area. Up and to the right of Vega is a 4-sided figure of stars called the Keystone. That is Hercules' body.
To picture the rest of his body takes a lot of imagination, so let's throw the picture of him up there. Yep, he's upside down.
Hercules is also known as the Kneeler, but he looks like an acrobat doing a sweet headstand. Hercules' brightest star marks his head and is named Rosselgethy. It's dimmer than the North Star, so it won't stand out, but you may detect a slightly reddish tint to it. That's because Rosselgethy is a red giant star about 300 times wider than our sun.
If you look carefully at the keystone shape of 4 stars that mark Hercules' body, there's a hidden celestial gem there. You can find it with a pair of binoculars, and it looks just awesome in a telescope. It's called M13, or the Hercules Cluster.
The Hercules Cluster is a group of 300,000 stars. They are so far away, about 2,200 light years, that you probably can't see them with the naked eye.
So Hercules is visible after dark in the eastern sky, but his mythological victims are over in the southwest. According to the legend, Hercules had to perform 12 impossible labors for the king, and his first assignment was to kill the Nemean lion.
You can find this lion in the stars of Leo, a constellation with a backwards question mark for a head and a triangle for a rear end. His brightest star is named Regulus and means, appropriately, Little King. Leo's hide could not be cut or pierced, so Hercules strangled the beast to death. And now he reclines peacefully among the stars.
For Hercules' second job, he had to kill the seven-headed Hydra of Lerna. Hydra is the largest constellation in the sky and stretches 100 degrees from its heads to its tail. The head stars are faint, but make a little ring below Leo and Hydra's brightest star, Alphard.
While Hercules was battling the Hydra, the goddess Hera wanted to make the fight more interesting by sending her pet crab to nip at Hercules' heels. But Hercules, being the He-Man that he was, dispatched the crab with a quick stomp.
And he made crab cakes. No, I'm just kidding. The crab became the constellation Cancer, which looks like an upside-down letter Y to the right of Leo's head. After Hercules successfully killed the Hydra, it got a place in the sky as well.
You'll notice another visitor to the scene on the night of May 20th, when the waxing moon is in the middle of the three tragic constellations. And on May 21st, the moon will appear within 1 degree of the star Regulus. That's a super close conjunction that would look great in binoculars. So look for the not-too-bright hero Hercules in the eastern sky after dark.
And then face southwest to find his victims, Leo, Hydra, and Cancer. Hercules stays away from those monsters in the sky. Maybe he's brighter than we thought.
Keep looking up.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis. Still showing this strip of heavier ice, southeastern Chukchi Sea. Otherwise, about done here in the Bering Sea. Practically nothing left even along just this little bit here around Amonic. And then strips of the pack ice, heavier pack ice here, keep pulling off and drifting into this open water area and then dissipating. And that whole same sort of pattern will probably continue for the next several days into probably Monday. On to coastal forecasts, south, 10 to 15 here along the south coast. A little bit stronger, 15 to 20 on the north coast with seas 7 feet. Inside waters, south 10 knots for Clarence Strait. Same thing for Stevens Passage, 2 to 3 foot seas, 15 knot winds forecast for Lynn Canal. Saturday, southeast 15 for Lynn Canal, 3 foot seas. Still pretty light there for Stevens Passage, and southerlies coming up to 20 knots for Clarence Strait. Southeast 10 to 15 on the south coast with 6 foot seas. Southeast 15 increased to 20 knots on the north coast. And Prince William Sound, light northwest wind at 10 knots, pick up to about 15 knots here over the eastern North Gulf Coast. Western North Gulf Coast, northwest, northeast at 15, 8 foot seas, so small craft advisories for the western zone there, as well as the Barren Islands, east winds 20, 9 foot seas, east 20 for the Kamishak Bay area. Cook Inlet, north at 15 with 3 foot seas. And for the first day of the weekend here for Cook Inlet, northeast at 15 with seas staying around 3 feet, east 20 for the Kamishak Bay, Barren Islands, and western North Gulf Coast. Then we're into the small craft advisories here, southeast winds for the eastern North Gulf Coast with 8 foot seas. Prince William Sound looking at a pretty good increase there with east 25 and seas about 4 feet. Kodiak Island, east-northeasterlies at 30 tomorrow. East 30 knots, Sitkinak to Castle Cape, and then here the western or the Alaska Peninsula, southeast to southeast at 20, and Bristol Bay east at 25. Outlook for Saturday, east 20 now for Bristol Bay, all the way down to Cape Sarachev, and then Cape Sarachev to Sitkinak, southeast at 15. And that actually goes up the eastern zones there of Kodiak Island, east 15 for Shelikof Strait. Fox Islands, variable, 15 tomorrow, becoming northwest here around the Kulski. 20-25 on out to Atka, probably lighter winds though for the Adak area, and then becoming east late with that front trying to nudge northward there. So small craft advisories, actually minimum gales out for the far western Aleutians, 14-foot seas. Those turn north, 25 for the western Aleutians here. North, a little bit of an increase there for the central Aleutians. Not much though, about 20 knots out of the north. And then east-northeast, 10 to 15 for the Fox Islands. Southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, we've got small craft advisories east at 25, turn northeast, 25 for the Pribilofs, and extend up here to St. Matthew Island. Also northeast for St. Lawrence Island at 25, and east 25 for Norton Sound. 20-knot winds from the northeast here in that zone just north of Nunivak Island. And for Saturday, northeast come down to 15 for Norton Sound. Small craft advisories continue for St. Lawrence Island. Otherwise, 20-knot northerlies here north of Nunivak Island to St. Matthew. Pribilofs northeast to 20, turn easterly here up toward Kuskokwim Bay. And for the Chuck CC here, 15-knot winds from the northeast up to Cape Beaufort, then east at 15, and then east to northeast at 10 for the remainder of the Beaufort Sea coast. Those see a big increase on Saturday, though. Coming up, brisk wind advisories here for the central and east side. Out of the east, 25 to 30 knots. Easterlies at 30 knots here. Small craft advisories for the western coast with northeast at 30 knots all the way down to Cape Thompson. And then south of there, north at 20 to the Bering Strait. And for tonight, again, surges of moisture continue to move northward. So that's going to keep a chance of rain, especially along the coast. Periods of rain will continue from roughly western Prince William Sound, Kodiak Island with that front, and a couple areas of moisture rotating westward here out across the southwest interior. This one not making it too much farther to the west, mostly slipping off to the south there. So wet for the Pribilofs, eastern Aleutians, and variably cloudy for the Panhandle. For tomorrow, this front again brings the gale force winds out to the western Aleutians, and narrow band of showers, not very significant at all. Looking for the winds to increase here over the central and eastern interior with gusts of 40 miles an hour starting tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow night. Otherwise, periods of rain, south central Alaska, or showers that'll continue into Saturday.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.